I grew up in Barnsley and I played in brass bands and I played the trombone. So I think this collaboration came about because of a tour that I was doing, an electronic tour, and on the day off that we had, I took the band that I was supporting to the Whit Friday marches in Lancashire, and just at that moment there happened to be a really great band that were on at that time, and I made everybody wait, and we watched them march, and then we watched them do their concert in, I think it was in Dobcross, the little village square, and I took a picture on Instagram and said, oh, brass bands meets electronic, and following that someone got in touch and said, would you like to write a piece of music that would combine brass bands with synths? And of course for me that was a wonderful departure from what I'm known as, in terms of being able to combine my childhood sounds and what I love now.
Talk back here. No, it sounds beautiful.
Mary Casio is a character that encompasses how we look at life and how we view mortality, time, how at any age we can have dreams and still achieve those dreams. And she was a character that I just used to play with in the studio, so if someone came round and we were doing something, I would get out my little Casio keyboard and start playing the samba beats and singing along and making little tunes just for a laugh. And in my mind over time I developed this lady who lived in Yorkshire, probably worked in a post office all her life, and in her back garden would have had a shed full of inventions and things she created and that nobody knew about. A kind of character that a bit like a Delia Derbyshire or a Daphne O'Rourke. Once I had all the electronic side recorded, it became the task of what do you take away or what do you add to the actual electronic part, and how do you include the brass band. And obviously there's like a kind of a protectiveness. I was like, no, I can't get rid of this and I can't get rid of that. But actually when I started writing out the parts for the brass, before I gave them to Sandy, the conductor, because he arranged it for me into all the different instruments, there was elements of me having to let go of certain parts and deal with that. And actually coming to the mixing side of it, I've been able to sneak a few synths back in just to support the brass a little more. But so when it came to recording the brass band, we took the SSL desk from Real Word Studios, and we had Ollie engineering and his assistant Ollie. And we went to Barnsley Civic Theatre and we brought all the brass band there. The guys set up all the equipment. We even had the Mayor of Barnsley come and give a little speech. And it was really, really amazing to be able to go back to a place that I'd experienced as a child, to be able to have these incredible players from the brass band. And they're not just from one single brass band, they're from all the different kind of championship section bands that you would get in the UK. So there's players from Cardiff and North Wales and Glasgow all coming to join together to do these pieces together. So when we got to Barnsley and everybody was there, that's when the magic started to happen and we started to hear everything come together. The brass band for me, I think it comes from being a trombone player, is about the power and the richness and the unity of the breath. And I think whenever I've gone and saw brass bands, I've always had a tendency to sit in near the back or to actually experience the low end. So when it came to actually writing this piece of music, that's the side that I wanted to bring out, and that's the side that I sometimes feel on brass band recordings are missing. They're either awash with reverb or you hear a lot of the cornets, whereas for me it was always the experience of the low, melancholy richness of the euphoniums and the trombones at the back and the tubas. And so I suppose that was in my mind from the very beginning. I want to achieve that, and I think that with the analogue synths and the way the analogue synths breathe and they have nuances, and you can hear when things go wrong or when you're switching something off, sometimes it crackles. It's a bit like when we recorded the brass band, and you can hear the breath, you can hear the page turn of the conductor, you can hear sometimes the squeak of a foot on the floor, and that for me was, we weren't getting rid of those, we were keeping every single part of that. And I think that blend of that breathing, you know, really made it feel like they were the kind of ethereal alien voice. And essentially they are like an alien voice, because it is like, you know, a sound through a brass instrument. It's not like it's straight from the voice.